Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our English podcast. If you're new here, this podcast is created especially for people who are serious about learning English, not just memorizing words, but understanding how language works in real life, academics, and professional settings.
In every episode, we focus on one word only, but we explore it deeply. Its meaning, context, emotional weight, academic use, and real-life impact. Today's word is extremely important, especially if you follow the news, study economics, politics, or social sciences, prepare for TOEFL or IELTS, or simply want to understand the world better in English. The word is recession. Before we continue, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel. We upload daily long-form vocabulary podcasts, and your support helps this project grow. Now let's slow down, take our time, and really understand this word. So, what does recession really mean? A recession is a long period when a country's economy starts to shrink instead of grow. This usually lasts for months or even years, and it affects almost everyone in some way. During a recession, companies earn less money. Businesses stop expanding, people lose jobs or fear losing them. Salaries may freeze or decrease, people spend less money. What's important to understand is that a recession is not sudden. It doesn't happen overnight. It slowly develops, and people often don't realize they are in a recession until life becomes noticeably harder. That's why you often hear the sentence, "The country officially entered a recession." The word officially matters because economists analyze data before calling it a recession.
I want to take you out of the classroom for a moment and talk about what a recession feels like in real life. During a major recession, my city slowly changed. At first, everything looked normal. People still went to work, shops were open, cafes were full. But then small signs appeared. Stores started closing earlier. Hiring signs disappeared. People talked less about vacations and more about savings. One day, a friend told me his company was restructuring. That word sounds professional, but in reality, it meant layoffs. Another friend delayed marriage because of financial uncertainty. Someone else moved back in with family. That's when I realized a recession doesn't just affect money, it affects dreams, plans, and confidence. This is why understanding this word is so important. Now let's compare recession with similar words, because this is where many learners lose points in exams. A slowdown means growth continues, but more slowly. A recession means growth becomes negative. A depression is far more severe and long-lasting. So if you say, "The country faced a recession," not a depression, you are being precise, and precision is what advanced English is about.
When we talk about the word recession, it is impossible to separate it from the news. This is one of the most frequently used economic terms in international media. If you watch channels like BBC, CNN, or read articles from major newspapers, you will hear this word again and again, especially during times of global uncertainty. Journalists usually use the word recession in a very calm and factual way. They say things like, "Fears of a global recession are increasing," or "The country is struggling to recover from the recession." Notice that the language is not emotional. They do not say people are scared or suffering, even though that may be true. Instead, they focus on trends, data, and long-term effects. For English learners, this is very important. It shows that advanced English often sounds neutral, objective, and distant. Understanding this helps you follow news reports and also improves your academic writing. When you use the word recession correctly in this context, you sound informed and serious, not dramatic.
Now I want to move away from news and talk about daily life. A recession is not only something economists discuss. It quietly changes how people live, think, and make decisions. During a recession, people become more careful with money. They may still have jobs, but they feel unsure about the future. Because of that, they stop spending on things that are not necessary. Eating out becomes rare. Buying new clothes feels like a luxury. Travel plans are postponed. Even conversations between people change. Instead of talking about holidays or new purchases, people start talking about job security, prices, and savings. This change in mindset is one of the clearest signs of a recession. People are not only reacting to current problems, but also preparing for possible future difficulties. Understanding this helps you use the word recession in a more meaningful way. It is not just an economic term. It describes a social atmosphere.
In my opinion, the most difficult part of a recession is not the lack of money, but the uncertainty it creates. Human beings can adapt to many difficult situations, but uncertainty creates constant stress. During a recession, people do not know if they will keep their jobs. They do not know if prices will rise. They do not know if their plans will still be possible next year. This uncertainty affects mental health, relationships, and long-term goals. In English, the word recession is often connected with words like instability, insecurity, and uncertainty. If you are preparing for exams like TOEFL, being able to talk about these ideas shows that you can express complex thoughts clearly. This is a skill that goes far beyond vocabulary memorization.
I want to talk specifically about students and families, because this is where the impact of a recession becomes very real and very personal. During a recession, education often becomes much more stressful than usual. Tuition fees feel heavier, not necessarily because they increase, but because family income becomes uncertain. Scholarships and financial aid programs become more competitive, and students who depend on them feel constant pressure. Parents may want to support their children, but during a recession, they are often dealing with their own financial worries. Some parents lose their jobs, others experience reduced salaries, and many are forced to prioritize basic needs over long-term goals like education. This creates emotional stress inside families, not just financial difficulty. I have seen students who were hardworking, talented, and highly motivated forced to pause or even abandon their education, not because they lacked ability or ambition, but because the economic environment simply did not allow them to continue. When opportunities become limited, effort alone is sometimes not enough. This reality is difficult, and it is important to acknowledge it when we talk about a recession.
I want to add to that by talking about how this situation affects young people's mindset and future plans. During a recession, students often stop thinking long-term. Instead of asking, what do I want to become in 5 or 10 years? They start asking, how can I survive this year? This shift in thinking can have a deep psychological impact. Many students take jobs that have nothing to do with their field of study, not because they want to, but because they need immediate income. Others delay graduation, reduce their course load, or give up opportunities like studying abroad or doing unpaid internships. These decisions are not about lack of ambition. They are about adapting to economic pressure. So, when you hear the word recession, do not think only about charts, graphs, or economic statistics. Think about interrupted dreams, postponed plans, and young people trying to make responsible choices in an unstable environment. Understanding this human side of a recession helps you use the word with depth and awareness, not just technical accuracy.
Here are some advanced academic sentences that you might encounter in university lectures, research papers, or standardized exams such as TOEFL. Economic recessions often expose structural weaknesses within a country's financial system. Governments attempt to reduce the impact of a recession through fiscal and monetary policies. Sentences like these are written in a formal, analytical style. They focus on causes, effects, and responses rather than emotions or personal opinions. This is typical of academic English, where clarity, precision, and objectivity are essential. When you can understand sentences like these without translating them word by word, it shows that you are processing ideas directly in English. Even more importantly, When you can produce similar sentences yourself, it means you are able to organize complex thoughts using formal language. This is a key characteristic of C1 and C2 level proficiency. At this level, English is no longer just a communication tool. It becomes a way to analyze problems, evaluate policies, and discuss abstract concepts. Being comfortable with academic sentences about topics such as recession allows you to participate confidently in higher education, research discussions, and professional environments where advanced English is expected.
Before we finish this episode, I want you to actively use the word recession, not just listen to us. Pause the video for a moment and try to complete these sentences in your own words. A recession affects society by, during a recession, governments respond to a recession by, you do not need perfect grammar. What matters is clear thinking and correct usage of the word. If you can explain these ideas in English, your level is already quite advanced. Practicing in this way helps move vocabulary from passive understanding to active use, which is the real goal of learning a language.
And learning words like this is not just about language. It's about understanding the world. When you understand words like recession, you can follow global conversations, understand news reports, and take part in academic or professional discussions with confidence. Language is not separate from reality. It reflects how societies work, how economies change, and how people respond to challenges. By learning these words deeply, you are not only improving your English, you are also improving the way you understand events around you. This kind of vocabulary gives you access to ideas, debates, and perspectives that would otherwise remain unclear. That is why serious language learning is also a form of education about the world itself.
If this episode helped you, please subscribe, like, and share it with someone who's learning English.
Thank you for listening. See you in the next episode.